Greetings to the others of the screen, I'm Matti Mali, aka Hedonistic Actor, and now we go through the 10 worst movies I've ever seen and conclude the 100 worst movies I've ever seen listing. So let's just go straight to the point. The 10th worst movie I've ever seen is Police Academy Mission to Moscow. This is the 6th sequel to the classic comedy Police Academy, which I thought was a fine, funny movie, not anything spectacular, but it suckled my funny bone. And the second one, well, the comedy was going more towards simple direction, but at least there was this very annoying sounding villain, the kind of guy, and 3, 4, 5, they are kind of a meh, and I don't remember much about them. But then there's the 6th movie, which I actually think is an underrated film. I mean, yeah, it's all that kind of a simple wacky comedy the second movie had, but though it had some kind of a childish charm to it. Yeah, the 7th movie forgets all that, and even though I don't remember much about the 3, 4 and 5, I'm sure they were much more, how do you put this, inventive than the 7th movie. Yeah, the Police Academy is about this police academy that has several comedic stereotypes who are trying to become cops, and in the 7th movie they are going to Moscow to get some gangster dude played by Ron Perlman. And he and Christopher Lee, who plays Russian police general, they are completely wasted on this. They are so... Yeah, at least Christopher Lee tries his damn hardest to save this movie, but the lines written for everyone fall flat. I mean, even the previous Police Academies, there was at least one gag that went through, but in this there's just nothing. It's utterly uninspired in so many levels, and I probably should check the Wikipedia entry to remind me what was about in it, but yeah, let's go to the next one, Manos, The Hands of Fate. Yes, once again one of these public domain bad movies I watched that summer to get more variety to this list, and yeah, Manos is often regarded as the worst movie ever made, and at least at one point it was that in Internet Movie Database, but yeah, it is pretty close to that definition. It's made in the 60s, and it's about this couple who goes to some seedy hotel where is this servant guy Torgo, and then there's his master, whose name I don't remember, even though I watched the movie like 5 months ago. The badness in Manos is really subtle. Well, there were some grainy shots and weird cuts, but that wasn't anything too bad. I thought that Torgo was actually a rather compelling character for a movie of something like this, but then it starts to fall apart during the latter half. Yeah, there were some characters that are completely pointless and add nothing to anything, but when that goes to the cult part, they pretty much forget some of the events that has happened, and then there's when the cult leader's wife starts to bicker about with who deserves his affection. It's just there's just clumsy effects that take all the believability out of it, and lots of confusing events, and yeah, I guess that Manos is pretty well integrated with pop culture that I don't need to say too much about it. Yeah, I guess I forgot it for a reason. Number 8, Alone in the Dark. Yeah, Uwe Boll is probably the most featured director in this list. I checked that six of his directorial works are on this 100 worst movie list, and once again, Alone in the Dark is based on the video game, which I have never played or any of its sequels, but it is regarded as the grandfather of survival horror genre. And there is no horror in this, it's all pure action. And it has this detective guy played by Christian Slater, who... What he was doing again? Yeah, he was trying to some supernatural thingy, and then there's Tara Reid plays a doctor who is supposed to check this out, and yeah, many have complained about how unrealistic it is that a doctor like this looks like a model. Well, okay, I'm not sure if a doctor wants to look like a model, then who is anyone going to stop them, but she does a terrible job in this, and yeah, I'm not sure if I see her in anything. Yeah, I see clips of Sharknado, and she's so stiff and wooden all the time. Yeah, the other actors like the before mentioned Slater and Stephen Dorff, who kind of plays this antagonistic military dude. Oh yeah, now I remember. The Slater guy was in an orphanage, and he also had some weird stuff happening from some mystical demon war from the underworld. But yeah, it's filled with terrible acting. Action is too often in the dark, and makes this annoying fast cuts, and it's hard to see anything, and the special effects once again are not anything spectacular. Well, in 2005 getting good CGI was rarer than it is now, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't represent the classical games at all, although I'm sure it represents the 2008 video game, which is apparently bad. Next we have Battlefield Earth. Oh yes, yeah, even though the credits mention the director is someone named Roger Christian, it's pretty much John Travolta vehicle. He plays this alien called Turl, who is integrated to pop culture with this classical when you will learn how to spell your name, I was straight to the galaxies. Yeah, it's kind of a bizarre mixture of its comedic roles, and there's aliens called Cyclos have taken over the Earth. The year is like 3000 or something, and then there's this human guy played by Barry Pepper in very low-key style, which is quite a contrast to the John Travolta's so over-the-top performance, and the Cyclos capture him, and then he's starting to get everyone in the Resistance. There's also Forrest Whitaker as John Travolta's pal, and that is also one hell of a bizarre casting. Yeah, I don't think I read much tell you about the badness of this because it's pretty well known, and it was the Nostalgia critic reviewed it in for his 100th episode, and but John Travolta is over the top, Barry Beber is low key, and everyone else kind of sleepwalk through all of this. Well, I guess at least Travolta has fun doing it, so I guess that's something. And it has weird camera angles. Well, the effects are kind of neat, but the plot is stupid. The Psychos does all kind of very stupid, nonsensical things, like their way of guarding the prisoners is to take still shots of them, and yeah, why they don't have regular video cameras? I mean, these guys can travel through space, yet they don't have a video camera, so dude, fuck. It was done. Number 6. The number 6th movie is the worst Finnish film I've ever seen, and I intended to review it someday, so I'm going to do an exception to this list and not reveal this one. Yeah, I'd like to have some surprises in the future. Well, for those of you who really want to guess, then I can give a little bit tiny hint that the movie in question wasn't made during this decade. That's the only clue I give about it, but I'll review it eventually when I first reviewed the 2 other bad Finnish movies, The Shadow of the Eagle and Us, so just wait for it. It's something rather special. Well, I can also give you a hint that it was a first of its kind. And what was it first of? Well, yeah, I'll let you to figure that out. So let's go to the number 5, Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. Back in the days, I mainly knew Power Rangers from the toy lines. I really didn't watch the series, like maybe 2 to 3 episodes at tops, but I did saw the first movie, and it's an alright, lots of action, bad guys, and pretty standard fare, nothing spectacular. But then there's this movie, which was apparently also a pilot episode for the Power Rangers season 5. They are about these 5 teenagers with attitude who are dressed up in these fancy costumes and fighting against the evil aliens. One of their main antagonists was Rita Repulsa. They're like, I have this voice! And something like that. She was like entrapped in the moon or something. Yeah, and this I guess alien dude named Jordas. Wait. What was its name? Jorgon? Well, whatever. He's the battle. Bad guys. And in this second and so far the last movie in this franchise, they are going to save some Furball and his family, who are forced to cooperate with this Rita Repulsa's cousin or shudder called Diva Talks, and she tries to summon a some evil monster and become his pride. I guess good for him, I guess. And the Power Rangers are set to do that. Well, one of them gets injured or something, so they instead go with a child. Yeah, a kid is involved in this movie and becomes a Power Ranger, and it is as ridiculous as it sounds. And yeah, they go to the island and kick some ass in some very not so good choreography. The puppets using this look fake, and effects are terrible. Well, this is the late 90s, in a low budget movie, so what you can do, but yeah, there's this weird thing I never understood. One of the Divatox's main helpers dies because someone needs to be sacrificed in order to wake this monster dude, and she just drops him to the lava. But I've seen Linkar Lewis Lovehawk's History of Power Rangers series, and in that that guy who fell in lava is still alive in the series. So and that was the most annoying character in this movie, and I was glad that he died, but then in the series he's somehow alive. What? I don't know. Yeah, and the dialogue just lacks. It's just a very lackluster compared to the previous movie that had something resembling a budget. It was an alright ride, but the Turbo the Power Rangers movie, not so much. And the fourth one, House of the Dead. Yeah, this is the last Uebo directed movie in this list. Yeah, it is one of his... I guess it was his first video game adaptation, and I haven't seen much House of the Dead. Well, I've seen some very confusing cinematics from House of the Dead 2, where the acting is just really wooden and horrible. It's like an alien trying to comprehend human language. We must protect the life cycle. This is the final battle, or something like that effect. And House of the Dead, it has this group of teenagers who are going on a rave, and then zombies strike. The actors in this include Jonathan Cherry, Tara Leitch, Clint Howard is probably the biggest name in this thing. I guess there was someone else, but yeah, the characters are uninteresting, the fighting choreography is beyond belief, and added to all that, it's very gimmicky. It has all this kind of clips from the actual House of the Dead game, just randomly put in there for no rhyme or reason, and then there's this game over screens whenever a characters die, and well, let's just say that I guess I give the benefit of a doubt to the Dr. Ball that he tried to get more to the video game kind of feeling, like in 2 years later when Doom movie had this one first person segment, but that doesn't translate very well to the film format. I don't guess House of the Dead to begin with is such a franchise that you could get movie scrapped out of it, but yeah, and of course there's stupid dialogue. Clint Howard is annoying as in many roles he does. And what else? Yeah, the climax is also rushed and nothing makes any sense. Yeah. as bad House of the Dead was, it's not the worst video game adaptation ever made. No, that's Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Yeah, Mortal Kombat is about the fight between humans and from Earthrealm, and then there's the Underrealm, I think what it's called, where all kind of demons are. And they are fighting in these tournaments, and if the humans win, they get to live for another day, and if the Underrealm wins, then they can conquer Earth or something. And out of all the fighting game adaptations, all the fighting games I've heard about, Mortal Kombat actually has a rather good premise, and yeah, it's not anything spectacular, but it has some dramatic heft to it. I mean, there's actually motivation for why these people are fighting, and it's rather clear, and all the kind of mythologies I've heard about it sound rather interesting. And the first Mortal Kombat movie from 1995, which by the way is the only 90s Hollywood video game adaptation that didn't get on this list. It's nothing spectacular, but it has a well-made choreography and fighting choreography, and yeah, I guess the plot is rather thin. They just go from battle to battle to battle, but yeah, the sequel tried to fix that aspect, but in the meantime it forgot to add any sense to the plot. And it's not even a funny kind of 90s cheese. It's very clumsy, and somehow, even though it has a bigger budget, its effects are even worse than the previous. It's rather well made for the time. So I guess, yeah, Robin Shaw returns as Liu Kang, who won the previous tournament, but now the evil ruler of the Underrealm, Shao Kahn, played by Brian Thompson of all people. Yeah, that was one bizarre casting. Yeah, I guess his voice is booming and all, but I've seen him done some good performances in various TV series like X-Files, where he plays this very creepy alien assassin. But this is so over the top. It's just hard to... yeah, this kind of, the Earth is under attack and it is glorious! Kind of, well, not like that, but pretty close. And then there's... yeah, all the previous actors are replaced. Oh yeah, the one who played Kitana, Talisa Soto, is also returning, but instead of Christopher Lambert as the Team's guide Raiden, we have James Remar, who is unremarkable, and Sonya Blaze, this time played by Sandra Hess, and who is also unremarkable. Pretty much all the majority of the acting is still that wooden. Well, Robin Shaw is, I think, is the best. Does the best performance in the bunch. That his performance is somewhat realistic, but yeah, the Mortal Kombat Annihilation suffers from the same problem as the first Street Fighter movie, that it has too many characters and it can't focus all of them, and a majority of them are just cannon fodder for the heroes to punch their fist in. And yeah, I mentioned the acting is clumsy as well. That's something around. And then they had the audacity to kill one of my favorite characters from the previous movie. I don't say which, you probably know this already, but he dies in pretty much in the beginning, and I thought this was funny in the previous movie, but here he's just gone, so he could be replaced with this Jax guy who, yeah, I didn't write down who played him, but some red lynx or something, I don't know. But yeah, that's all I should say about it. It's an utter betrayal of the decent, funny, cheesy action flick. This removes all the fun out of it. And decent action. It's really clumsy. The second worst movie I've ever seen, Meet the Spartans. Yeah, this is the only from those Jason Friedberg, Aaron Seltzer directed parody movies that I've seen in its entirety. I've seen some clips from Date Movie, Epic Movie and Disaster Movie, and yeah, I don't need to see any of them, because I've seen this one parody movie, which is a parody of the likes of 300, which is about these Spartan warriors fighting against Persian, which I haven't seen. Yeah, I would have normally watched this kind of movie, but some friends were watching it at one school place, and I happened to be in the place, so I thought, yeah, there are friends around, so I guess I could check it out, so I would never have to see any more of them. Yeah, this movie doesn't know how comedy works. And it doesn't know how parody works. Yeah, I see some of the resemblance, but the main problem is that the gags go for overly long, and of course the special effects are also cheap. Who were in this movie? Sam McGuire, Carmen Electra. Yeah, she's kind of a regular visitor in these kind of movies. Kevin Sorbo. Yeah, he was in that Hercules series, I haven't seen that, but apparently, yeah, he did a good job in this. Nothing spectacular, but at least he wasn't so goddamn annoying like the rest of the cast. And the Persian dude, Persian king, I don't know who was one. Yeah, I don't know one. Yeah, I guess I don't need to dwell in this more anymore, so yeah. I guess they still make these parody movies, but apparently no one cares enough to raise their voices about it. I guess the last time anyone cared about this was that the Vampire Sucks movie, which was a parody of those Twilight things. Okay. Let's just go to the worst movie I've ever seen, Son of the Mask. Yeah, this is a sequel made 10 years later to the 90s comedy classic about this guy who finds a mask, puts it on, and becomes this super flexible superhero who can bend reality or something, and that was funny. And what you need to know about the background about my relationship to the mask is that, and the betrayal, Son of the Mask, is that the Mask is the movie that made me want to become an actor. Yeah, I saw it like in the age of 6 and thought that Jim Carrey was just phenomenal, and he was my, I think was my first celebrity idol. Although these days I've seen more towards serious actors, and people like Johnny Depp and Michael Fassbender have replaced him as the main goal of acting. But Jim Carrey is still phenomenal, and even in his bad movies he is rather hilarious. So Yeah, I wanted to see Son of the Mask out of morbid curiosity because it was on the Internet Movie Database worst 100 movies list, and back at the day I was curious to see those kind of bad stuffs, and so the nothing from the previous movie is referenced in this. They have nothing to do with the events of this movie. It has this this animator played by Jamie Kennedy, whose dog or he finds the mask from the river, the mask that apparently belonged to the Norwegian god of mischief Loki, who is played by Alan Cummings, and he is going there to retrieve the mask, but his father Odin, played by Bob Hoskins, is rather aggravated about that he lost the mask, and he goes to find it. Yeah, Jamie Kennedy has a wife played by Traylor Howard, who is familiar from Monk, and she's so lost in here, just like Jamie Kennedy is. Where Alan Cummings is he's also terrible. Well, he's not as terrible, but in a more kind of an annoying way terrible. And the writing... this movie bears me down. And the writing is again very stupid, and it has many bizarre... Yeah, it tries to be a comedy aimed at kids, but it fails on so many levels. It has I'm not sure if it even tries to be funny. Apparently it's directed by the same guy who directed the movie Cats and Dogs, and that was decent, but this is just utter garbage, trivial, and all kind of nasty words that are going through my head, but I don't want to say because I still have the decency to censor it, even though I remember how badly this movie affected me. I even have to walk out of several scenes, so just because I wouldn't need to watch the embarrassing stuff that was happening there. Yeah, the mask isn't even with Tim Avery was his name. That's the same name that one that with that one famous animator. Yeah, kind of a weird coin reference to that. Yeah, so he only has the title or mask on him, like in a couple of scenes, and he's sounds very fake, and he tries to be so much to be funny, but it's the mayor of your voice. Jim Carrey, he ain't. And the mask looks terrible in this. They felt the need to add this weird plastic hair on him, which I don't know why. And well, CGI once again is terrible because it's weirdly disordered and out of its proportions. The majority of time the mask is with the dog and the Jamie Kennedy character's baby, and they are fighting for the daddy's affection. Yeah, that would be... I guess that premise would make a decent gag animated show, like just 5 minutes of verbal humor and that's it. Oh yeah, and the Jamie Kennedy character is trying to make a... tries to make a living as an animator and tries to take the idea of the mask character he was doing and Okay, these movies have driven me out of all energy. So yeah, that was the 100 worst movies I've ever seen. Yeah, I don't think that list is going to get new entries anytime soon, because after the great crap summer of 2015, I decided that unless it's for a review from this on, watching a bad movie has to be a social experience, so I need at least one more person to watch terrible movies with me, otherwise I just actively avoid them and try to get some good experiences. Yeah. Yeah, there may be, if the maybe some rare exceptions where my opinion just differs way too much from the public consciousness, but those are like one in a decade kind of deals. So now that these are over, I think I'm forced to return to reviews. Well, expect at least one review before the year ends. It will be ready just for Christmas, and it's a Christmas related movie. I haven't dosed those in a while. Yeah, I guess you deserve it. And I try to make one more before this year's end, but I have good feelings from the next year, so I guess I could get the pacing back. So, I'm Matti Malli, aka Hero Stick Actor, and I thank you for your time.